Okay ladies, in this video we're going to be making the little boy gown. I'm using the extra small as my example. And the first thing we're going to do with the little boy gown is to take two vest pieces that have been prepared ahead of time. We did this to save time on the sewing because they do take a little bit of time. They're a little tricky because they're so small and the fabric's slick. But I'm going to lay this vest on with the underarm just below the curve of the underarm on the gown. I need to move this up a little bit because it needs to catch it. And we want to make sure we have at least 1/4 of an inch here between the neck edge and the edge of the vest so that it doesn't get caught when we're trying to turn it. Okay, so I've got that one. And then I'm going to put this one over here. These little vests make all the difference in these gowns for the little boys that are so sweet. And I'm very appreciative of those sisters who helped us by making these vests ahead of time to give us a jump on the day. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just pinned that vest in place, and I'm going to go ahead and sew the front to the back at the shoulder seam. And then again on the other side. It's very simple to match up. Okay, so we've sewn the shoulder seam on the gown for the boys, and hopefully if we did it right, we've caught in the raw edge of the vest at the shoulder. Very good. Turned out very nice. So as you can see, it's beginning to look like a little boy gown. Now I'm going to flip over to the serger, and we're going to serge the shoulder edges. There it is up close. We're going to serge the shoulder edges of this gown, and then the opening edges on the back and the bottom of the sleeve and the bottom of the garment so that none of it will fray. You may say that we're not going to be washing and wearing this. It's not really necessary. Another thing that the serging does is gives us a nice guide for turning under 1/4 of an inch, which is the seam allowance we're using on everything on these garments. But it gives us a nice guide for turning under, for hemming our sleeves and the neckline, hemming the neckline and the bottom of the gown. It's kind of a little cheat. We don't have to measure with the ruler or stand at the ironing board and try to press an equal amount under. If you've ever done that, you know how hard that can be. So now I'm going to serge the neckline. And I'm going to try to hurry. I learned that YouTube doesn't allow you to upload more than 10 minutes of video. And I've been trying to cut it down. I did one. The fetal demise packets came out to be 17 minutes, so now I've got to figure out what I can leave out. Okay, so I've done the neck edge and the shoulders. Now I'm doing the ends of the sleeves. And I'll do the bottom of the gown. And because I don't have a lot of time, I'm only going to do this one side of the gown. You would of course do it on the other side also. And that's the back opening edge. And then the hem. We will have 5 or 6 sergers there on Saturday for the day of service, and if you've never used one before, you might want to ask myself or someone that knows how to use it to just demonstrate it. They're a fascinating machine if you're interested at all. Okay, so now I've sewn this, I've serged the sleeve edge, the back edge, the neck edge, and the hems. And I'm going to flip back over to the sewing machine so we can continue making the gown. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pin, I had it pinned but the pin came out, the edge of the vest back in place under the armhole, armpit here. And we're going to sew the side seam. Oh, we must, before we do that, we're going to hem the bottom of the sleeve because we won't be able to hem that little tiny sleeve opening if we sew the side seam first. So we're going to hem the sleeve before we sew up the side seam. And again, I'm trying to hurry so that we can get this gown completed enough for you to understand how to do it. Okay, so we hemmed the sleeve. Now we're going to sew the side seam, and when we sew the side seam, we're going to catch in that side edge of the vest. So the vest is only on the front. There's no vest part on the back. It's just on the front. Kind of like a facade with building. I just love the little boys' outfits. They're so sweet when they're done. And I think many people do little girls' outfits, but they don't really know what to do for the boys. It's easy to make a little girl's gown and make it nice and frilly.